What's going on, y'all? Your boy Darius here, back here for the video. And this time I'm here for my review of Kraven the Hunter. It is the latest and apparently last Sony Spider-Man universe spin-off film where they try to take Spider-Man villains or Spider-Man side characters and give them their own movie, like Morbius and Venom and Madam Web. Apparently this is the last one, and thank God it is, because this was not good. This was not good. Kraven was not a good movie. It was. Where do I begin? Right? Okay, I guess I set the stage. Right? Kraven is a Spider-Man villain. Right? One of his. I don't know if I can say most well-known villains, because certainly among like comic fans. But like, if you just know base Spider-Man villains, your knowledge is just what Venom, Green Goblin. That might be it. Like you might know Doc Ock maybe, or like a Sandman, but I feel like it's like Green Goblin, Venom, people know them, right? Kraven is one of the better Spider-Man villains, that he has in his rogues gallery. Really interesting character, and they absolutely did not capture any of that in this film. They took a character whose base story is about him being a big game hunter who seeks the challenge, in life, of him being a predator. He wants to be challenged by something. He wants to be challenged by a prey. And he finds that in Spider-Man, right, historically. None of that is here. This is about the origins of Kraven, but this isn't really Kraven, because in this movie, he's not even a villain. He's not a villain at all. He's an anti-hero at best. Like, I guess you could call him anti-hero, because he does things for good reasons. He's being a good guy. He's taking out bad people, but he's taking them out, which historically good guys, superheroes don't do. So I guess he's an anti-hero. He's more Punisher than anything. And that's not who Kraven is. And it's stuck in my craw the entire time I'm watching this. I'm just like, this is not... how could this guy possibly go from this, right, this anti-hero going after these Russian mafia gangsters and mobsters and shit, and then going to, yes, Spider-Man, I'm gonna kill you. I'm gonna kill you because you're strong, you got powers, and you're interesting, and I want to be challenged. There's no translation there. There's none at all. And even watching this as just like an action movie, right? Like taking all the Spider-Man Marvel stuff away from it, just, all right, this movie about this guy with these powers. Is this interesting? Is this good? And the real test of it was the fact that I took my sister to go see this movie with me, and she has no knowledge of like comics at all, like at all. Like she knows who Spider-Man is. She knows who Black Panther is because it's Black superhero. I think those might have been the only two superhero movies she's ever seen, was the Black Panther one and Wakanda Forever. So I took her to go see the movie. Like I didn't even tell her this had anything to do with Spider-Man. I just told her, hey, there's an action movie about this guy, this hunter, hunting down some bad people. That's what I told her. And throughout the film, she was on her phone for like 90% of it. She was zoned out. Towards the end, I'll never forget, towards the end, she asked me, what the name of Rhino was. Despite the fact that throughout the movie, many times, they mention that his name is Rhino. And she just did not remember. She's just, because she was zoned out, because the movie wasn't that interesting. It wasn't that good, man. Like, I had the test right there next to me. Is this just a good movie on its own? And it's not, all right? Divorcing myself from all the Spider-Man stuff. It was not a good movie. The best part about it, number one, Aaron Taylor Johnson, right? He carried this movie in terms of his acting. I'll say he shared it with Russell Crowe, because he and Russell Crowe, they both, were trying in this movie. They were actually trying, right? Third place would be the guy who plays Rhino. I cannot remember his name. I know he was from Many Saints of Newark. I think he played Dicky Moltisanti, right? Oh God, let me get his name, because I want to actually give him a shout out, because like he actually was real good. Alessandro Nivola, I think I said that name right. He was pretty good, right? As Chameleon, he had some entertaining moments. He was actually trying, right? The same thing for the actor of Chameleon, Kraven's brother. I'm trying to get his name. Fred Heschinger as Chameleon. So he did a pretty good job as well. Especially like in the acting, because like Chameleon, if you know in the comics, his whole thing is he can shapeshift, or like he can change his face and different stuff. He's master disguise. in his voice as well. And like the main thing they have in this movie is that like his thing in terms of being chameleon is really him just being able to sound like other people. You know, like he does like this interesting like movement where then he starts doing the impression and it's like spot on, like perfect, because it's actually that person saying those lines. It's just coming out of him via ADR. So yeah, acting wise, those four brought it. You know, action. Look, man, I tried so hard to turn my brain off and just focus on the action, but the action wasn't so good that I could do that, right? Like it wasn't just like a mindless action thing that I could sit back and enjoy. It wasn't. The action was fine. Like the action was pretty good. It was pretty entertaining. I had a good time with the action, especially them utilizing the R rating, which they should have done already with Venom, at least Venom 2. But as good as the action was, it wasn't enough to save this movie. And in fact, the action being as good as it was is the only reason why this movie is not as bad or worse as Madam Web. It's slightly better than Madam Web because the action, all the Kraven superhero, you know, powers stuff, it's fine. It's entertaining, right? That's like the best parts of this movie in terms of engagement, keeping you engaged. Because when that's not happening, I'm just kind of like, okay, sure. And there's some bad writing in this movie. I'm actually I'm gonna split this video into. I should have said this earlier. I'm gonna split this video into spoiler stuff. I'm gonna talk spoilers. There's gonna be a little spoiler section towards the end. It's not gonna be that much, but I'm gonna talk spoilers. But there's some bad writing choices in this movie, in terms of dialogue and just writing out your story, right? And there's plenty of moments where like a scene ends and I'm just like, that's it. We're moving on right now. Like that's it. Like the scene ended right there. Was that an editing thing? Was that a cutting room floor thing? Or in the script is it written that okay, scene then we're now here. This is where we're at now. Like there were plenty of moments of them just like we're moving. This is some weird pacing here. Some weird pacing, some bad dialogue in here. Not as bad as Madam Web, mind you. Madam Web had some horrendous, legendary, horrendous dialogue. This wasn't quite as bad, but it was still bad. Like, I don't know what Sony's doing. Like, what writers Sony or what's coming through, man. Like, who's reading these scripts? Who are you hiring? What's their track record? It can't be good because they're consistently putting out this shit. And, yeah, that's pretty much all I have to say about the story. I mean, like, it just wasn't there. It wasn't there, and I'm glad that this movie is ending. You know, according to that the Wrap article, this is the end of the Sony Spider-Man cinematic universe, whatever the fuck they called it. It's over. It's done. They're going to be focusing entirely on Tom Holland's Spider-Man, which could be a good thing or could be a bad thing. It could be a bad thing because they might just be super hands-on with the MCU Spider-Man, and that might cause a rift. You know, like, I understand that at the end of the day, when it comes to Marvel things, Feige is kind of the be-all, end-all, right? Like, he kind of has final say. Like, I know there was a rumor that came out. I don't know how legitimate it is. There was a rumor came out that when Sony and Marvel made a new deal to have Spider-Man in the MCU, that it gave Feige final say. I don't know if that's true or not. I honestly don't think it's true. I mean, I guess we'll know, but we'll know when it comes to Spider-Man 4. Because if Spider-Man 4 is solely a street-level movie, there's no multiverse stuff at all, then you know that Feige got his way and Feige has final say. Because Sony is very clear. Sony's been wanting to do like another multiverse story with Spider-Man 4. So if it's a thing where it's solely a street-level thing, then Feige got his way. If it's not, if there's multiverse elements in there, but there's also some street tier stuff going on, like if it's kind of like a blend, then obviously Feige still has some say, but Sony still has say as well. Like they had to have come together. It all depends on how Spider-Man 4 is. But if they're focusing now solely on Tom Holland, it presents a potential bad situation where they get so hands-on, they so micromanage MCU Spider-Man that the movies just they just end up being subpar, as I already thought they were prior to No Way Home. I thought Homecoming and Far From Home were subpar. They were just like, they were kind of missing the boat on a lot of Spider-Man stuff, and I chalked that up to Sony. And it's funny because No Way Home, Avi Arad wasn't even involved in it, and it shows. So we'll see with that. Spoiler wise, the main thing I want to talk about spoilers is two things, right? Two things, or three. Number one, if you remember in the trailer, that very first trailer caught a lot of flack because the trailer made it seem like Kraven got his powers from the blood of a lion seeping into an open wound, and that's how he got his powers. It's just like, oh, this freaking radioactive lion or some shit. What happened there? It wasn't what happened. There was an extra thing that happened there, in that the lion attacked him. Lion's blood went inside of him, but Calypso gave him a potion that they just kind of explain away as, oh, it's like this family serum. I guess your family, like your great grandmother was a fucking witch or some shit, whatever. It's a serum that she gives him that I guess mixes then with the lion blood that it's in his blood. So that's why it like creates a reaction, and that's how he gets his power. It's not solely from the lion. They did keep Kraven's backstory in terms of how he got his powers. It is a serum from Calypso. So they kept that. Second thing, when I was saying how there's some stupid moments in this movie, there was literally a moment where Kraven's sneaking, right? Like, he's showing his hunting skills. He's showing how good of a hunter he is. He can be so silent. So, he can creep up behind you and shit. But there's a scene where it gets fucking ridiculous, where, like, he is literally, like, not even a foot behind two dudes walking up behind him, and they don't hear him. They don't feel his presence. Like, I know humans, we have like a sixth sense. Like, we have it. We have a sense. We know when we're being watched. We know when there's someone behind us. Like, we can feel certain things, like, in the air. Like, we're just like, like, you can always tell, or at least I can. Maybe it's just me, but I feel like humans, we have like a sixth sense almost to be able to know when someone's walking up behind you, especially when it's just like a foot behind you, if even that. Like, you can't hear his footsteps. You can't hear, like, it was fucking ridiculous watching that scene, and people started laughing in the theater because it was so ridiculous. And I don't think that was the reaction that Sony was going for. I don't think they want you to laugh at that. That was stupid. He was just like this behind him, and it's just like, the fuck. Look behind. You don't feel that. It was so dumb. It was so dumb. That was like the dumbest thing I've seen in a long time. Third thing, Chameleon actually becomes Chameleon. They do a 1 year time skip at the end where he goes to the doctor that gave Rhino his powers, right? The reason that Rhino turns into a freaking rhino and it's not a mechanized suit because he went to Dr. Miles Warren and he gave him a treatment that, turned him into the Rhino. And Miles Warren, if you didn't catch it, if you didn't know, is the Jackal, who in the comics is a Spider-Man villain who was responsible for the clone saga, right? Cloning Peter and making Ben Reilly and making Kane Parker, right? I think he even created, like, he might have created a clone of Gwen Stacy too. I don't remember, but I know, like, he did a lot of clone shenanigans, a lot of fucked up, scientists experiments and shit. He was in Spectacular Spider-Man. I think he came in like season 2, but he never got to become the Jackal. So that's how they explain Rhino's powers. And then at the end of the movie, like the last like 10 minutes, they do a 1 year time skip where now Chameleon's brother has gone to the Jackal and gotten his chameleon powers. They show him actually able to change his face, and then in a weird, like, they gave it like a weird like the nanobot effect that we see in superhero movies a lot now with like the helmets that come up and shit. Like they did that, but like his face, like Chameleon's face is classically just like white, He's got like, I think he has ears, but like it's just like a white face, right? And they do that effect where like it's like nanobots shits, but like I don't know what that meant. Like that was just a thing for comic nerds who know who Chameleon is. And it was just like, it was a little weird. I'm just like, did this really need to be there? This is kind of tacked on, but whatever. And I think that's all I got in terms of spoilers. That's the only thing really worth talking about when it comes to spoilers. This movie, I have no plans to watch it again. This movie was bad. I give it like a freaking 4 out of 10, dude. Maybe a 4.5 out of 10. I forgot what I gave Madam Web, but it was not that great. It was just Sony, I'm glad you're done. I'm glad you're done. I'm glad you spared us from like them making a fucking Dr. Octopus movie or a damn, Scorpion movie. Because this is not it. They need to really reassess. They need to just, honestly, what they need to do, how this all could have worked in the first place is them making these spinoff movies with Marvel, like collaborating with the MCU. So, hey, look, we're going to take these villains and make origin stories of them. And then we're going to put them over into a Spider-Man movie so that they're ready-made villains. People already know their backstory. They're fully formed characters. And that way we can shave off kind of a lot of runtime in these movies where we have to tell the villain's origin story. That's what they should have done. But they didn't do that. So I don't know where they go from here in terms of, Spider-Man stuff now. Beyond the Spider-Verse, who knows if that's even going to come out. Like the guy who plays Prowler Miles says he hasn't even recorded any dialogue for that movie yet. So like, what the fuck, dude? Like, come on, man. Like, what's taking so long? And apparently their relationship with Lord and Miller broke down and stuff. So who knows what's going on in Spider-Verse? Spider-Verse might not even finish. That might be a cliffhanger that we never see the conclusion of. It was bad, man. Let me know your guys' thoughts. Have you seen Kraven? Will you go see Kraven? Or do you simply not care? This movie is tracking, I think, to do $15 million at the box office for opening weekend, which is awful. And I kind of hope it happens, just so that it can reaffirm Sony that you need to stop on this. And you need to stop. Don't do any more of these. This is not your wheelhouse. You tried to make a cinematic universe without Spider-Man. It was a dumb idea. It failed, and that's what you get. All right? So, make sure you guys hit the subscribe button, all right? Help me reach 800 subscribers. My next little sub goal, okay? Also, hit the like button. YouTube loves the like. Smash the like button, man. Hit the notification bell so every time I upload a new video or go live. I will be doing a full the Game Awards coverage in terms of I'll watch the whole thing. I'll record my reaction to the entirety of the Game Awards, and then I might upload that entire reaction, or I might just only upload, cut out parts of certain things that I actually care about, or that you actually care to see, and that I would actually get a reaction out of, instead of me just watching like this random indie game that I'm just kind of like, I'm not gonna play it, but so keep an eye out for that, man. Game Awards is tonight. It's in like an hour or so. So, see you guys in the next video. Peace.